So these guys are an amazing team. I think when we looked at it, we really loved the space, and what we felt was that food ordering will be large in India. I think we had actually looked at the three larger players at that point of time, and we felt that their tech wasn't really focused, was not a big focus. On the other hand, with Swiggy, what we found is that it was very interesting that they were really building out the tech. A lot of the others were doing outcalling. This is 5 years ago, where people would call and order, right? Which was, and we just liked that.
So
We loved the team.
to call to order a pizza and then have
Exactly.
it.
So we loved the team, and I think it was all about the team, and we really felt strongly with high conviction that that space, food tech, would do really well. So the whole market at that point was against food tech, but we were very much for it, and I think it's paid off well.
I have to ask you, how do you see the space now panning out with consolidation? Really, Uber Eats having exited India business, it's all out war between Zomato and Swiggy. Why do you think Swiggy will have an edge in the larger scheme of things?
Look, I think that at the end of the day, Swiggy is the largest player in the space, and I think they're also very focused on the customer. So I think having that customer-centric sort of business, which is really focused on timely orders and deliveries, making sure you have the right set of restaurants, and at the end of the day, it's a very loved brand, right? So and Swiggy also will go out of the way to do anything for their customer, even if it's sometimes economically less viable. So I think that really holds good for the long run. So that's why we feel sort of highly about it.
Now, before we go on to the larger strategy of Norwest as far as investments are concerned, we've seen the entire tussle between online, offline, restaurants, the protests and all of that now having calmed down. But it will be a difficult space to operate in, right? Considering technology has been disrupting the older players. Say we need our due in terms of how commissions work. So it is still a highly regulatory impacted space, really.
So I think in any space which is large and growing, and we talked a little bit about blitz scaling right now, is growing very quickly. There will be challenges, but I think what I like about again the team here is that they think of restaurants as very strong partners for them, right? And to that extent they recognize fully that at the end of the day they have to really help their partners for them to grow as well. So I think it's very collaborative, and I think that a lot of the if you notice, Swiggy has not taken any difficult stands. They've been very collaborative with the restaurants and their partners, and they are working very hard to make sure that everything grows very well, in that space.
Moving on to the investment strategy, Niren, Norwest has had quite a run in India. We're discussing in terms of how much you've been deploying. Are you optimistic in the larger scheme of things, especially now when everyone's talking about how this year will not be as great as last year in terms of how the funding enthusiasm will really pan out?
So look, the funding cycles go up and down globally, right? It happens every time. So we're not too worried. We're really long-term players, right? So if you look at the next, 1 year, 3 years, 10 years, I would say we're very optimistic. This is the period of time where, China went from a market cap of a few $1 billion, right? Maybe 20, 30, $50 billion. And in 8 years after that, they actually went down, they went to $4 trillion. So we are very optimistic on India and where it will go. We think that the next 8 years are probably going to be the best sort of 8 years to be an entrepreneur in India, and things are going to scale very beautifully. Sure, there will be short-term problems, there will be short-term funding gaps, issues, global meltdowns, all that, but the long-term, India is still a big spot of sunshine in a slightly more gloomy global scenario.
But do you have a number as to how many startups you would go out there and actively invest in, say, in the next year, 2 years, really?
So
in terms of the pace of investments.
So our pace of investment is now going to double. At the same time, what we are doing is we are late stage investors, so you won't see us do that many deals, but we do Series B onwards, and there I would hope to do, like, over the next 3-4 years at least another 30 investments.
All right, 30 investments in
Yeah.
the next 2-3 years, really.
3-4 years.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
All right. What really is the ideal pitch? I'm sure you've been flooded by entrepreneurs here right at the event. What, according to you, really makes the perfect pitch? What are the do's and don'ts of really pitching to Norwest, really?
So essentially we are, like I said, Series B and onwards. So we want to make sure that you have a great product market fit. You're in a large market. The team should be solid. I think you should be solving for a large problem where you can look at maybe 5, 7, 10 years later, this will be a really large company or we'll die trying. And to a certain extent, we do like some level of capital efficiency. So that would be the mix of what we would
And
like to
somehow it
see.
seems like capital efficiency is really the buzzword across all investors we've been talking to, considering how the year will pan out. What are the don'ts really of starting up for people who are pitching? What's a no-no as far as pitching is concerned?
So I think people who are pitching in very heavily sort of I would say like today if you're saying that I'm going to go and fight against a Flipkart or part of Flipkart or something, it's very hard because these are established businesses now. So having no differentiation and being a commoditized player, I think that is the biggest put off for me.
Lastly, before I let you go, any sectors that you're personally very bullish on? Everyone's talking about how the next wave would really come in terms of health tech, ed tech, agri tech. What are your hot picks?
So we like edtech, logistics tech, fintech, and I would also say that agri and health tech have been focuses, but again we need to see more scaled up companies in those spaces.